Alright guys, people hate me because I hated Craig Jones Invitational. Let's talk about it. My name is Bill Jones, head instructor, top level martial arts in beautiful downtown Cuyahoga Falls. Black belt under Master Pedro Sauer and Tony Rinaldi. Almost forgot my own intro. You're watching Professor's Corner. Thanks for watching. Of course, I'm being stupid. I loved Craig Jones Invitational. Pretty sure I said that in the last video. Ed, you watched my video, right?
Yeah.
And you also watched the entirety of Craig Jones Invitational.
I did.
Okay, cool.
I thought it was a good time.
Just want to make sure. Yeah, so let's start there. I think there was a huge misconception at maybe what I was doing in my last video. Let me start by letting you know that like I filmed that at 12:30 at night, right after ADCC had finished up. So one, I was just trying to get a video out kind of quick, you know, give some real quick thoughts on it. Just put a few things that I think can be improved on each one, and a few things that I thought were great about each one. It wasn't meant to be like a versus video. Let me say this as clearly as I can. If we have to compare ADCC to Craig Jones Invitational, I think 100% Craig Jones Invitational was a better event. I don't think there's any arguing it.
It's way more fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, there you go. So, like, if you thought I was trying to compare them and say that one was better than the other, that isn't really what I was trying to get at. The only thing I made a comparison on was the production value. And I wanted to clarify a little bit of that. But first, Ed, what was your favorite thing about Craig Jones Invitational?
Honestly, it was pure fun. Like, it was the first like jiu-jitsu event I'd watched live where it was just a good time from start to finish.
Yeah, I want to make sure they can hear you. So
sorry, I cleared my throat. What I said, let me reiterate that, is it was just a good time from start to finish. Like, from the second I turned it on to the second it ended, it was just fun and entertaining.
Yeah, I think everybody was having a great time.
Yep.
Now, it was the first one, so there's always something special about the first of anything, right? Like, so like, hopefully they can keep that entertainment value going forever.
I was gonna say though, if you look back at like the big productions now, we look back at the first one and it was like so bad. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
so,
the production, but
like the evolution of it could be some.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the
thing,
production value on the UFC, the very first one. It had like Bill Wallace and Kathy Long, and like it looked like it was filmed on like somebody's camcorder. You know, so
we were so excited when we got Jim Brown for number 2.
Yeah, that's right.
I got a
forgot
big
Jim
name.
Brown was on that.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. But yeah, you know, like the thing I wanted to kind of clarify, it was my thoughts on the production value and what I mean by that. Now, obviously, it was on Facebook Live, so that's pretty awesome because for everybody who's watching, it's free.
Yeah, I watched it on YouTube.
And I'm probably going to take some flack for this, and I hope I'm wrong. Let me start there. I'm willing to be wrong. I'm glad if I am. I don't know how long it can stay free, though. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things that they need to do to grow it, because if you do want it to, the word I kept using before and people thought I was full of shit, is prestige. And I don't care if you believe me or not. Simple fact is, until CJI was announced, ADCC was the most prestigious jiu-jitsu tournament in the world.
I would say it still is to some degree.
Yeah, it's still got that prestige. And to the fact that, like, they were able to create ADCC Open, and everybody in the world was like, this is way better than IBJJF. It blows it out. IBJJF sucks, right? Like, and then all of a sudden CJI comes around and everybody's like, ADCC is trash.
Yeah.
Like, stop being so damn fickle. Right? like stop. Just stop. ADCC is fine. It can definitely be improved. Yeah. If it's finally getting to the point where, you know, they don't release their financials, so we don't know. Yeah. You can take guesses. Obviously, the owners are gazillionaires. They own an entire fucking country. So.
Yeah, they're doing okay.
But the point is, like, if they're going by like a business should, and how much does that business itself make? It's probably making good money. It's probably making enough to pay its athletes more. You know, like,
yeah, I tend to agree.
I don't deny that. There's no way for us to know, though, because they don't release their financial information. So I have no idea. Logically, it makes sense to think they could definitely be paying.
At least some kind of cash prize is somewhere along.
Especially like afterwards, and I hate to use like rumors and stuff, but the rumor is like John Jones only appeared because they gave him $50,000 to show up. I don't know if you were there. They're like, oh, John Jones is here. And then they didn't even make that big a deal about it. Yeah. They were like, oh, John Jones is right behind us. Oh, that's really cool. And then that was it. That's like all you heard about it. Like, he didn't like present anything. He didn't do anything. They just filmed him.
But yet the champion made zero.
Yeah,
That's not a good look.
No, the champion makes 10 grand.
Yeah, I got you. But when you factor in like travel and everything, they barely break even.
Right, and you compare that to Craig Jones, where just to show up you made 10 grand plus he paid for your travel.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Every competitor there made at least $10,000.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
I really do hope they can pull it off with like the sponsorship model and keep it free and just get more eyes on the sport. I hope they can pull that off.
I think it would be great. And I mean, the only reason I have trouble thinking it will happen like that in that exact way long term. I think they'll continue to pay. Like, let's be really clear. I think that is...
It's where they acquire the funds to pay the athletes.
Right. And right now it's kind of being donated. And I mentioned this in a video that I did a while ago, but like it kind of reminds me of the problem that we have with Adopt-A-Cop, right? The problem with Adopt-A-Cop is the reason Adopt-A-Cop exists is because a lot of departments can't afford to pay for their officers to go to jiu-jitsu classes.
Yeah.
And as a business, I can't afford to just give every cop free lessons. So that money's got to come from somewhere. It's not coming from the police who can't afford to pay for it. It's not coming from the department. It's not coming from me. It's got to come from the public.
Yep.
And who in the public that isn't in jiu-jitsu gives a shit, right? Like that's the problem.
Yeah.
And it's going to kind of be the same issue here. Now, if we look at the UFC eventually had to go to like uniforms and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they had to, again, like probably not. That might have been, I'm more than willing to concede that they didn't have to do that. With that said, they eventually did so that they could make money to continue doing UFCing, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of like if you look at the biggest sports in the world, most of their events are free. Do you know what I mean? They just do it through sponsorship. NFL, baseball.
I see. I don't agree. I mean, their ticket prices are exorbitant. And they're not really free, right? You're paying for that by paying paying $200 for a pair of Jordans that are made for $3.95.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. Is that if we, maybe it's possible that at some point a combat sport could make that model. Do you know what I mean? It's never been done before, as far as I know. It's
no one's tried, right?
Yeah.
So good on him for.
That's
trying.
what I'm saying. It might actually work. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope he does.
Yeah.
Again, right now this is all conjecture. I don't fucking know. Right?
Yeah,
none
I don't
of us
know either.
Know.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're looking at me going, "You're fucking wrong," yeah, you might be right. Like, good. I'm glad I'm wrong. Right? Like, I want it to be free for you. That'd be great.
Yeah, I want it to be the.
With that said,
amazing.
Like a lot of guys are like, I see a lot of people. It shouldn't cost me anything to watch, and it's like, okay, but you want them to get paid. Like, you want them to get paid, but you don't want to be the one to pay them. That's to me, that's kind of a shitty way to be. Like, look, I'm not saying you should have to pay. What's Flow? I think Flow. I can't remember what I pay for.
It's
Flow
like $20 a month.
Yeah, but so like maybe a $20 per event. Like a $1 or even $10 to stream it.
Yeah,
that's something I think is, especially if they add some divisions, and then that's more than fair. I think
the only problem I see with that model though is it doesn't ever expand. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like, if it's free on YouTube, we run the potential of just some random guy seeing it and being like, "This is amazing," and now he's a jiu-jitsu fan. Whereas if it's always behind a paywall, they never get to see that. Does that make sense?
No, not to me. But,
okay.
Yeah, like to me, it's no different than buying a ticket. But like, I think that I don't think free makes things expand. Like I've seen martial arts schools that try to do super low prices, and they are always the smallest martial arts schools.
That makes sense.
From a business perspective, that doesn't usually pan out to be true. It seems like it should, but it never does.
Yeah.
The big, and look, expensive does not necessarily even mean the best either. So let's be clear, like that's not always true either. But generally, the better schools, the ones that have the most people, tend to be the ones that have a higher price value to them because they're able to run things better.
Oh, no,
now, again, he's trying to do that through sponsorships, though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, I hope it is free. I really do. I really do. So hopefully you're right.
Hey, that's fair.
The other side of that I see is, and this is where the most of this is just like on production and logistics and stuff. Like that's what I see. Is like,
it was too long.
How do you keep it going?
That was my only complaint, honestly. It was really long.
Yeah, and that's where like I feel like you need two mats. Again, pits. The keep the alley format the same, because that, if anything was amazing about CJI, other than the fact that everybody's getting paid, it's the pit.
That
right?
was cool.
That
was the coolest grappling
it kept
surface
the
I ever
action
saw.
going. Like, it was pretty rare that they had to reset anything, and that was just really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it wasn't gimmicky either. It was cool without being gimmicky. It was cool because, like, you know, some of the ADCC matches, you watch them and it's like every 3 seconds they're having to stop them, bring them in, and I'm glad they were paying some more attention.
Can I
to
be
the
honest?
boundaries.
Completely honest.
Yeah.
I was kind of sucked in by the gimmicky fight between Gabby and Craig.
Well, we'll get to that.
I was gonna say I was kind of sucked in by the gimmick and was presented an amazing, like, grappling event. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
I kind of came for the gimmick and left with this, like, great event. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what got you there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and I'm a fan of jiu-jitsu, so I mean I don't know. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. But my point is, like, I don't think that the pit was gimmicky.
Oh no.
It like I thought it would be, because it was kind of gimmicky when Combat Karate used it.
Yeah.
Like, it was meant
better.
to be like, we didn't want to use a cage, so we created a pit.
Yeah.
But, like, for jiu-jitsu, it made perfect sense.
It did to me
because
too.
it just funneled everything back to the center. Like,
yep.
you watch guys, like, takedowns hit, and, like, they hit that side of the wall and just slide back in. Like, you ain't done yet now.
No, it's an actual takedown.
Guys using their feet, and I'm sure you guys have all done it. Like, you know, in your academy, like, you'll be rolling and, like, you're near a wall and you just use the wall for some leverage. You, like, put your feet up on the wall or push against it
all the time.
Like, you do it all the time, and so, like, it's cool that they could actually do that.
Yeah,
you know,
it was cool. It's such a good event.
So yeah, I mean, I thought it was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal.
And it was better than ADCC. Like, that's saying a lot. And I mean, it sucked away a lot of the ADCC talent.
Yep.
Which I've talked about in the last one. I think that sucked for ADCC. I think that's what hurt ADCC more than anything. But ADCC kind of did it to themselves. You know what I mean? Like, they could easily have paid the people, right? They could easily have said, you know what? Don't go over there. We'll give you the money, right? Like,
here's 10 grand.
So if you're comparing them, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, I think that Mo and I don't know if it's Mo's decision. I'm assuming it is. The decision to, like, not let Gabby Garcia be in the ADCC Hall of Fame just because she participated in the Craig Jones Invitational, I think that is absolute trash.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. And I'm not big on, like, gimmicks and WWE type activity around my martial arts. So, like, I did not like the Craig Jones Gabby Garcia match.
I'm not proud of it, but I did.
As I mentioned, like, I think that afterwards, no matter what I thought of it, I think the way she came off afterwards was absolutely outstanding. I've never seen her in that light, and it made me really like her a lot. And before, I was kind of indifferent to her. She just looked like some chick that took a bunch of PEDs, and you kind of tend to think of her as like a beast. And yeah,
she's a sweetheart.
Yeah, she seemed adorable. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this lady's great.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, like, I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
So overall, amazing event. Like, not like everybody talks about the $1 million that got won, and they forget to talk about the other part of that, which was 10 grand each.
I didn't even know that. I just found that out.
Every competitor got paid 10 grand.
That's crazy.
Like, that's a lot of money that they shelled out, and I'm super impressed by it.
Yeah,
I really am. I hope it continues. And as far as, and again, like, guys, just because there's criticism, I'm guarantee you, Craig Jones has, like, a whiteboard somewhere of, like, 400 things he wants to do better next time, whatever they are. And, you know, I've even seen an article already that he's talking about adding a women's division. He just didn't do it this time because he was afraid he'd have to pay him less, and he doesn't want to do that. Kudos to him.
Yeah. Last time I was this excited was EBI 1. Like, that was the last time something was this cool. Where you're like, this is neat.
But EBI 1 was just a little different because it was sub only, and then had this interesting overtime, which we've learned over time really wasn't the best, but like, it was different than just IBJJF.
But this was super exciting.
But and I think it was more than just being different. I think it is an evolution in the way the sport is going to be done.
I think there's something to the way they had the ring set up in the pit. Is that what they called it?
They called it the alley.
The alley.
Yeah.
There was something cool going on there.
Now, someone was like, I was talking to someone online, and they were like, you know what, I don't mind that it took a long time to go through. You know, I'd be fine if they did that for 4 divisions. And it's like, that sounds great until you remember, well, you have to pay the announcers.
Yeah.
And they have to want to sit there they had to sit there from Eastern time, 1 p.m. till 4 a.m., and then come back again at 1 p.m. and do that again until what time did it finally end? 8,
yeah,
8
I was
or
gonna
9?
say it was
That's a lot. And then if you're gonna do that for 4 divisions, okay, well now you get. And they said, well, yeah, okay, well then just get a couple groups of announcers. Great, you're paying for a building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it took them 14 hours, actually longer than that if you count the other 8 hours. So what is that? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 22 hours to get through 2 divisions and a couple super fights. How long is it going to take to get through 4? Like, they're paying for that building. They're going to need to do side-by-side mats. And if you want to keep that free, that's fine. You're just going to need to probably run a second YouTube channel, which is easy enough to set up, right? But people don't think about the logistics like that when they start saying that kind of stuff. It's like whatever building they were in, they were renting, and that is not cheap. And even if it was donated, well, the building's only going to donate so much time, right?
Yeah.
Because every moment they're in, they're not getting paid is money out of their pocket, right?
Yeah.
And some of it is a tax write-off, but they're not willing to write it all off.
No, it doesn't work.
That's just not how life works. So,
so what I took away is you hated Craig Jones.
Oh God, it was terrible.
Okay,
terrible
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, why even do it?
Yeah, right.
Craig Jones, terrible person.
Great event. So good.
Can you believe it? Like, he wants to pay people and stuff.
Wow.
What a jerk.
Yeah.
Nah.
No,
but,
it was so good.
Hopefully, like, if you were watching and you saw my original video, this clears up some of my thoughts on that. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it was because I was filming it at midnight 30. It just didn't come across as exciting as it could have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was freaking amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
And it was definitely more amazing than ADCC. And as far as prestige, I think that if it can, assuming we already know there's going to be a second one.
Yeah, but
we already know there's going to be a second
currently
one. But until it's been around for 2, 3, 4 times, runs consistently, and gets a little bit better every time, we don't know. It might be 2 times, 3 times they do it, and then all of a sudden they can't find anybody to donate to it anymore, and it has to die, and that would suck. But that's also a possibility, right?
It's happened to many events over the years.
Yeah, and so that's why I say it's not as prestigious. ADCC has managed to survive since the early 2000s, so it survived some really tough times. It was always respected, but it was not always as big as it is now, and I think people forget that.
Sincere question: would you rather have the $1 million or the title from ADCC?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I'll
right?
take the $1 million.
I think
every time.
I can't argue with anybody who would.
Yeah, it's
right?
no brainer.
That's kind of
like prestige, $1 million.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you can argue with the right amount of prestige, you can get the $1 million, but I don't think everybody can.
Yeah, I was going to say $1 million in the bank.
I think Nicky Rod, I mean, obviously he already did. He's already done that. But the point is, you have to have a certain personality, you have to have a certain look, you have to have a certain way about you that people actually want to listen to you and watch you.
Yep.
And I don't think that's easy for everybody.
No.
And I think it's easier if you're an athlete, obviously, that you can go out and just win the money, do your job, win the money, and go home. And I think if that's the option for a lot of guys, I can't blame them for picking that.
Yeah, it's...
But at the same time, you look at the guys who chose to do ADCC instead. You've got Mika Gaval. He's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And maybe he wins. I know Cade's already beat him once, but maybe he wins that. But he chose, and for whatever reason he has, I don't know. I'm not him. I'm not speaking for him, but he clearly made the choice to do ADCC instead.
Yeah.
Same with Diego Pato. Same with Dante Leon. These guys chose ADCC, and I'm sure they are names big enough to have gone into
CGI.
Craig Jones.
Yeah.
CGI.
CGI.
We always say CGI.
CGI.
So
it's computer graphics.
So to some people, and it's hard for some guys to understand, but for some people, money just isn't everything.
That's fair.
They want that ADCC title. They want that IBJJF title.
I get it. I can't blame them. I'm just saying, for me as a person, $1 million.
Yeah.
After taxes,
you never
I'm
know
probably
till it's
banking
actually in front of you.
580 or something. I'm feeling real good about that.
You never know till it's actually in front of you. But I mean, because I'd love to say no. The money's not that important. But I mean, someone says, you know what, Bill, we're going to give you $10,000 to fly to Vegas, do jiu-jitsu. That might be enough for me. Free trip to Vegas, get to do some jiu-jitsu with amazing people. But maybe that's why I'm not a high level athlete.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. Well,
good stuff.
Yeah, that's like 20 minutes of us prattling on about how great CJI is.
I just hope they keep doing it because it was so good.
Too.
Whatever model they need to follow to keep paying them, I'm on board, and I'll keep watching.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
if I have to pay $20 or $30, I'll watch it. It's not me that I'm concerned about.
Here's the other part. Go watch the rerun. Top level jiu-jitsu, it donated to the event. Probably more than most of you who are watching. Just saying. So, we loved it. I hope it keeps going on. Congratulations to Craig Jones and everybody involved in the background. Thank you for doing it. Can't wait to see the next one. Guys, talk to you later.
Thanks for watching.